Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Today we are going to discuss about the cardiovascular system, and the cardiovascular system. We are going to cover this topic: component of circulatory system, circuitry of the cardiovascular system, and the circulatory pump. And in this, mostly we'll discuss about the heart valves, different kind of heart valves. So regarding component of circulatory system, first there are three components of circulatory system. One is fluid, another is pump, and the third one is conduits or vessel. So here you can see the fluid part contains transport molecule and cell. So mostly the blood is considered as a fluid part of cardiovascular system. The another component is pump. Pump is to pump the blood throughout the body system and from the top to bottom. That is the function of the pump. Another is vessel. That vessel that carry the fluid between the pump and the body tissues. So these are the basic three components of cardiovascular system. So we'll discuss one by one. This first is fluid. You can see here there's two components of circulatory fluids. One is plasma and another is the cellular elements. And as we know that the blood plasma mostly is around 55%. Here you can see in the test tube the blood plasma contains 55% of the whole blood, where the red blood cells is around 45%. So this they is shown in the test tube. When the blood, if you collect the blood in test tube and centrifuge it, the plasma will come on supernatant and the cellular part will settle down, and that also determines the packed cell volume, that is called hematocrit. But okay, we are just discussing about only the components, so we'll go ahead. So this is about the plasma, that is straw color fluid, and it's around 55%. Another is cellular component. We have basically three type of cellular component in the blood. One is erythrocyte, leukocytes, and thrombocytes. It's also called platelets. Erythrocyte is also called red blood cells, and this is helpful in transporting oxygen. They have the hemoglobin, and that is binding the oxygen to carry through the blood. Another is leukocytes, which is also called white blood cells, and that is for the immune response. The thrombocytes is platelets, and that helpful in the clotting. There are other properties of the plasma. You can see here the plasma contains 90% or more water. As I already told you, this is the mostly fluid component of the fluid part of the cell, blood, and the medium for carrying organic and inorganic substances. Most of the organic and inorganic substances are present in plasma. Proteins, there are some proteins, plasma proteins are also present, is around 6 to 8%, and that is responsible for osmotic pressure and the buffering action of the blood. Some of the electrolytes like sodium, chloride, bicarbonates, potassium, and calcium ions are also present in the plasma, whereas nutrients like glucose, amino acids, lipid, and vitamins, these are also a component of this plasma, whereas there's some waste product that is not useful for the body, like creatinine, bilirubin, and urea, that has to be excreted, but this is present in the plasma as well, along with some dissolved gases and the hormones. So here if you can see there, another component is cellular part, where you can see the first we'll discuss about the erythrocyte, that is also called red blood cells, and it mostly functions as a transport of oxygen, transport of carbon dioxide, and is regarding shape is oblong, oval, or biconcave, flattened disc, and is also contain no nucleus or ribosomes. Is also, so this is about the erythrocytes. Another is one iron containing proteins are found, that is called hemoglobin, and mostly it is carry the oxygen. Hemoglobin carries oxygen from the lung to the rest of the body, and carbon dioxide binds to that RBC erythrocytes and taken into the lung to be exhaled. And the lifespan of erythrocytes is around 100 to 120 days. Here in the animations, you can see I'm trying to show that the oxygenation and deoxygenation of the blood, and how the RBC size and color changing when there will be oxygenation and when the carbon dioxide concentration is increasing. You can see how the blood is circulated from the heart and again redistributed throughout the body, heart, and from the lung. You know, in the lung, that is, blood is going for oxygenation, and then from after the oxygenation is coming in the heart and it pumped throughout the body. And in the bottom there are some pictures. This is electron microscope, how the RBC is looked, and this is, if you see through the microscope, you can see the RBC has a central nucleus and the cytoplasm. Another cell is leukocyte and the thrombocytes. So here there are basically 5 types of leukocytes: neutrophil, lymphocyte, eosinophil, basophil, and monocytes. Here you can see the pictures. These are different kind of cells like basophil, eosinophil. That is again distributed in the granulocytes and agranulocytes. The granulocytes, the granules, these are the granules which is called granulocytes. So mostly in the granulocytes is neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil. And agranulocytes, these lymphocytes and monocytes are considered as agranulocytes. Another cell type is thrombocytes, platelets. These are the cell fragment. Here you can see in this picture, these are the cell fragments that are formed in bone marrow from megakaryocytes. Megakaryocytes, here you can see the development pathway for the platelet formation, the hemocytoblast, and then megakaryoblast, and then promegakaryocyte and megakaryocytes, and then the platelets, how they are forming from the in the blood platelets. The clot blood by sticking together by a protein fiber called fibrin. So fibrin, this as I already told you before, in the platelets is helping in the protein blood coagulations. So by the fibrin, and the lifespan for these leukocytes is around 8 to 12 days. In this picture you can see how the erythropoiesis or hemopoiesis, the formation of blood, occurs through the bone marrow, and if there will be, the kidney is detecting reduced oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, then at the response of this kidney is releasing one hormone that is called erythropoietin, and this erythropoietin stimulates erythropoiesis in the bone marrow, that is called erythrocyte production, and then this additional circulating erythrocytes increase the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. So as a result of this, when the erythrocyte will increase in the circulation, so this relieves the initial stimulus that trigger erythropoietin secretions. So when the kidney will detect there is sufficient erythrocyte in the circulation and oxygen carrying capacity increased, as a result of they will stop secreting erythropoietin. So this about, moving to the next slide, about this is the circuitry of the cardiovascular system, how the blood are circulated with, you know, basically the heart is 4 chambers. There is the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. So one by one. I am trying to explain you the first step. The oxygenated blood fills the left atrium. So we are here. If you see the stage, they define the stage, all the circulations, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will go one by one. In the stage 1, if you see in the left ventricle, the oxygenated blood fills the left ventricle. So oxygenated blood in the lung return to left atrium via pulmonary vein. Here you can see the pulmonary vein. It is coming from the lung to left atrium, and this blood then flow from left atrium to left ventricle via mitral valve. So left atrium to left ventricle via mitral valve. In the stage 2, the blood is ejected from left ventricle into the aorta. Here you can see the blood is ejected from left ventricle to aorta, and so the blood leaves the left ventricle through aortic valve. Here you can, and also called semilunar valve, which is located between the left ventricle and aorta. When the left ventricle contracts, the pressure in the ventricle increases, causing the aortic valve to open and blood to be ejected forcefully into the aorta. Blood then flows through arterial system, driven by the pressure created by contraction of left ventricle. Now coming to this step 3rd, here the cardiac output is distributed among various organs. Here you can see, after coming here through the aorta, the blood has to be distributed in different organs, and here percentage wise you can see the highest percentage of blood is going in skeletal muscle and gastrointestinal, GI tract, renal system, renal in the kidney, and this cerebral is around 15%, skin 5%. So here the distribution percentage wise is showing here. And then after this, if you talk about this stage, blood flow from the organ is collected into the vein. So here the blood leaving the organ is venous blood and contains waste product from metabolism such as carbon dioxide, and this mixed venous blood is collected in vein of increasing size, finally in the largest vein, that is called vena cava. The vena cava carries blood to the right atrium, and then the step 5, the venous returns to the right atrium. Because the pressure in the vena cava is higher than the right atrium fills with the blood. The venous return. In the steady state, venous return to the right atrium equal cardiac output from the left ventricle. The 6th one is mixed venous blood fills the right ventricle. Here you can see mixed venous blood flow through from the right atrium to right ventricle through auriculoventricular valve in the right heart, that is also called tricuspid valve. In the stage 7, when the right ventricle contract, blood ejected through the pulmonic valve, that is also semilunar valve, into the pulmonary artery, which carries blood to the lung. In the capillary bed of the lung, oxygen is added to the blood from the alveolar gas, and CO2 is removed from the blood and added to the alveolar gas, and thus the blood leaving lung has more oxygen and less CO2 than the blood that entered to the lung. So here the oxygenation of the blood occurs, and finally the stage 3, blood flow from lung is returned to the heart via pulmonary vein. So here you can see again it is returning in the left atrium, and then the process repeats.